Hello, my name is Justin Kennedy, and for my persuasive speech topic today, I will be doing why virtual learning is more impactful than in-person learning. First of all, my specific purpose for this speech is to persuade the audience that virtual learning was not only a strong alternative, but a better alternative to in-person learning. While there was obviously its struggles and its pitfalls and challenges, there was a lot of lessons to gain from it and a lot of skills that we came out of it with. While all of our COVID years came at the cost of our social interactions for a year and our abrupt end to many high school experiences that our predecessors had. However, through that struggle, we found many skills and differences that not only made the experience unique, but better. From personal responsibility to becoming less reliant on needing social interactions to the lack of the spread of communicable diseases, COVID had many benefits on us as a society in hindsight. I apologize for my voice. I'm recovering from a bug and just trying to work through my throat hurting still. My COVID year was my junior year personally, and not being able to have the social life that other high schoolers had, I learned more about myself than I ever had. Being forced to work virtually put me in a position that I hadn't been in before. It's very similar to what college is and what the workforce will be like in the future. While difficult situations obviously make us uncomfortable, pressure in uncomfortable situations is what is most conducive for growth. You're not able to grow unless you're in a situation that isn't like something you've been in before. And COVID was 100% something we've never been in before. The cons of virtual learning, first of all, was the obvious loss of social interaction. We had friends that we'd grown up with, people we had just gotten in groups with in high school, clubs we had just started, and in the middle of it, or at the end of it, or at the start of it, at some point in your high school career or college career, that was put on pause for a year. And the interactions that we had and the experiences that we would have had, we can't get back. And to my second point, missing out on the defining parts of high school, things like prom, homecoming, football games, in-person graduations, a lot of years missed that. And that's something that can't be brought back, it can't be repeated. And if it is, it'll be a less meaningful version of it. But as well as and finally, there was the fear of hanging out with friends and the dichotomy of wanting to be with the people that we see most and not want to get our families and friends and people that we see sick. Personally, I had a lot of experience with that. I had a lot of old black people in my family, and high blood pressure, cholesterol are all things that can change the effect of COVID on your body, especially just age in general and our body's ability to fight off disease. There was a lot of times where I would be helping my grandma move things or helping other elderly family move things, and there wasn't time for me to be guilty for one of them getting sick and dying because I wasn't conscious of who I was with and the symptoms that I was having. And even if it wasn't my fault, sometimes you're not able to detect the symptoms because I'm young, but that's a guilt and a struggle that we had to learn to live between. For some of the pros of virtual learning, there was more confidence in ourselves to accomplish goals, as for the first time in a lot of our lives, we were getting told to do something and no one was checking in on us and telling us what to do. Obviously, I mean, people had parents there telling them to make sure they got their work done, but for basically the entirety of the rest of the sorry about that, I'm just going to do that section over. There was more confidence in ourselves to accomplish goals, as no one was telling us that we had to get this stuff done, but the responsibility was all on us, and whether we used our time to the best of our advantage or not, the responsibility and the need to do it yourself and to have that do-it-yourself attitude is something that has been instilled in a lot of us. And second, there's less need for a social interaction. While we definitely craved it and wanted it and missed it, not having people around you and being in solitude is an experience that a lot of people aren't going to get until they have their own apartments and are living on their own or in college and in a single dorm. But then at that point, you're living with 60 other people in a building, so it's really not all that alone. But living with us, basically just our families for months and months on end, was definitely tiring on all of us. And in that, we had to find creative ways to have the social interaction that we were missing. My personal example, one of my best friends from high school, who now goes here, she's a junior. During COVID, we would work out on FaceTime, and that was kind of our way to stay in touch with each other, as well as, trying to improve ourselves at a time where the world was just stagnant. That was a good improvement. And finally, it made us consciously aware of our impact in the world as young people. During COVID, there was a 20 to 30% reduction in carbon emission, and damage to the ozone layer drastically went down. And that was a lot of because not only were all people not driving, but young people specifically are not driving to and from school. We're not driving to hang out with people. I know specifically being from St. Louis, we do tons of driving and tons of highway driving with lots of cars. Driving during COVID was just empty highways for miles and miles. And that's just not something that we have normally. But it's all these uncomfortable and different situations allow for us to grow and learn from what we're seeing and do better. Now, finally, what lessons did we actually get from virtual learning? First of all, we earned more accountability for our own work, and wanting to do good, not because someone told us to or someone's over our shoulder making us do it, because it's our responsibility and we have to step up and do it. Secondly, learning to balance working from home and a social life. It's a very adult concept, but eventually we're all going to get to, having to do work and be around in college, around all of our friends all the time. And the balance of, I have all this free time and just this little bit of work, and I can either choose to do it now or do it 5 minutes before it's due and kick around till then. That was up to us, and whether you gained a positive work ethic from that and a positive ability to balance those things or not, it's obviously still a lesson that you've learned. Preparing us for online work in college while managing free time. Again, back to, we have 24 hours in a day, and maybe only 4 of them are in class, 8 of them are sleeping. That leaves 12 hours for us to either choose to be responsible and do our work, or find a balance between doing the things we want to do and doing the things we have to do. And again, the environment felt these effects, and we saw that as we were more cognizant of what was happening to us, because there was no professional sports going, there wasn't racing or any kind of betting that we could watch, there wasn't school or classwork, you weren't hanging out with friends, so what else was there to do but watch what was going on in the world, especially in such a turbulent time as COVID was for all of us and for the world nations and the government. Finally, in conclusion, while the environment we had during COVID and the adjustment period was difficult, the experience we got from it, we have to learn from. But we learn from those difficulties, we can improve ourselves and do better next time we face the adversity. While I cannot challenge you to go back to virtual learning, I can challenge you to look at the time that we spent by ourselves and try your best to apply that to now being with the rest of the world again. Here's my source. Thank you. My name is Justin Caney again. This is my persuasive speech on why virtual learning is more impactful than in-person learning.